Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Ankerstar Wealth Morning Show. I'm your host, Allison Ankerstar, and today we'll be talking about Google's new AI search, stock buybacks, in the 2023 World Series of Poker main event. But before we begin, as a reminder, this is a financial education presentation and should not be construed as personal financial advice. Full disclaimer information is available at ankerstarwealth.com. Good morning, Steve. Google demonstrated its new AI search this week. What can you tell us about it?
Hey, good morning, Allison. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. Hopefully you like our new format here. And for those that have asked or didn't know, I had toe surgery on Wednesday, so that's why we haven't published the last 2 days, because I've been working from bed, which does not make for a good video. That's going well, going great. Good drugs. The major pain is behind me, so now I get to run around on one of those little knee scooters for the next couple of weeks. But for the most part, back in action, just can't drive. So if you're looking for a meeting with me, it's Zoom for the next couple of weeks, and it's back to our normal schedule of us meeting out and about if you would like. So back to the question, Google AI search. Here's their IO developers conference that they had earlier this week. I think it was Wednesday, that they announced a whole bunch of new stuff, including an $1,800 flip phone. I'm obviously biased towards Apple, so I don't really pay much attention, but I'm sure that their products are amazing, and that it'll be interesting to see what comes out of this flip phone. It's been tried before, right? So as far as the changing Google search, though, this is something that literally Allison's been doing since she was old enough to use a computer. I started off with, I think way back to the old people, Bing and AOL search and all those things. So search has come a long way. And now search is about to embrace the whole AI aspect of everything we're doing. So, from a basic Google search, this is the article that if you want to see, it's on CNBC. It could hurt traffic a little bit because it's going to change the way people advertise. But if you go straight to a google.com, now this has not been released yet, as far as I know. They're just starting to develop it. So there's, what we've seen for 100 years. And there you go, 2023 World Series, main event. And this is what we're used to. You have the hyperlinks up top. It's just a series of blue links. What they're saying it will go to is you'll still have a couple of links, but then you'll have some AI generated text, which is similar to like the Wikipedia version, like you have Wikipedia over here. And some other things are going to pop up in a quick video, right? So there should be a video to where you can click on it in 30 seconds or less. It'll tell you what the World Series of Poker 2023 even is, right? So it's going to be a lot more user-friendly than it is now, and, enhanced by AI. So bringing search to the advances in AI, I think it's going to be fantastic. I don't think Google is going to release it until it hits a home run, and I'm really excited about it. Obviously, the share price has celebrated it already this week by going up 5% a couple of days in a row, and it's one of our top 10 holdings. So very, very thrilled across the board. I think it's what the world needs right now, and I'm excited for what it will do, not only for us as consumers, but also for the stock in the long run.
Next, stock buybacks are a popular way for a company to reduce the total amount they have to pay out for a dividend. Is a buyback usually good for the stock price too?
It is a great question. It is absolutely good for the stock price. And historically, that's been the case, and it'll be that way going forward. So here's the article. We'll go through that in a second. But if you think of, remember, stock ownership is you owning, pick a company, pick Apple, and you own a share, right? So, and if there's 10 million shares out there, then you own 1/10 millionth, do your math, right? 1/10 millionth of the company. And when you hear a price to earnings ratio, that's per share. So, the total profits of the company is divided out by the number of shares. Well, if you reduce the number of shares, a couple of things happen, and they're all favorable to you, the stockholder, is the total pie is now reduced. If you owned 1/10 millionth of the pie, and Apple buys back 1 million of the shares, then your share, you still have one share, but it's worth 1/9 millionths. And you would think, well, it's one share, it doesn't matter. And I mean, like, largely I would agree with your math, but you start talking lots and lots of shares, and that adds up, right? So reducing the whole number of shares is a very positive thing for every single individual shareholder. It makes the metrics that are used, price, PE, current and forward, look much better. And for the company, every stock that pays a dividend, like Apple pays a little bit of a dividend. Well, if they have 10 million shares and they're their dividend is $1. It's not, but just to keep the math easy, if the dividend's $1, that means they have to send out $10 million every year, right? Well, if they reduce the number of shares by 1 million, then they only have to send out $9 million. So why do you care? Well, as a shareholder, you own a fractional portion of the company, and that's just less expense, right? So it is really brilliant. Now, it's universally hated by politicians. They're always like giving these companies a hard time about buying back their shares, and it's literal political BS. It's favorable if a company has extra cash on its hand, they can, pay out a bigger dividend, which is what the politicians want. They want more money in your hands. But I would rather, I get taxed on that, right? So why do that if they can just reduce the number of shares, make the stock go up, make my own shares that I own worth more? I like it across the board. So lots of crying in the political realm about this, but you can see here they have some of the stocks that have done, they call them the buyback champions, if you will. Meta, Visa, ConocoPhillips, Valero, PayPal. We won't go through each of these, but it talks about the total share change. This is the number that they've reduced in this column. And then some of the, forward PEs and things that have come out of that. And across the board, it's become favorable. Now, if the company is the Titanic and it's going to sink no matter what, buying back stock's not going to make any difference, right? In that case, so the company's got to be viable. But as long as it's a viable, profitable, burgeoning company, a stock buyback is absolutely beneficial for you as shareholders, and that's often a buy signal. Like we already own like too much Apple, right? But if we didn't, Apple buying back $90 billion of their stock, which they announced Thursday. That was yesterday. Maybe it was last week. It was last week. It was when it was, and they announced that. Hugely favorable for the stock, and the stock moves higher. So, all right, that's so very, very good for the shareholder across the board.
Last, congratulations on earning your entry into the 2023 World Series of Poker main event. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so some of you who know me on a personal basis know that I played poker ever since way back in the day. I started with chess, played in high school, played in the World Open when I was 21 for chess, and then kind of switched to poker because you put all that brain power into, problem solving and advanced, projections and, applied probabilities, which is kind of what poker is. You put all this brain power, you might as well get rewarded by actually, competing for what I would call real money versus just awards on the chess side. So a lot of the professional chess players go over to the professional poker side for that as well. Well, so I've played pretty much my whole life, and it's always been my goal to go play in the World Series main event. So this year, I was introduced to a group through a friend who got 15 of us together, and we all put in some money, and we play a tournament that happens every month to where whoever gets the most points out of that is now selected to represent the group with a buy-in to the World Series of Poker, which is $10,000. So instead of me having to spend $10,000 of Steve money, the group of us came together. I was the one who won the regular season, and then Tuesday night, there will be an end-of-year tournament for the other 14 to pick the other person. But basically, 2 of us are going forth out of this group to represent the crew at the World Series of Poker. It's a big bucket list item for me. I still, I'm not willing to write a $10,000 check for anything unless it's, a university or volleyball related, evidently, because I write those all the time. But for, just to play poker, is not something I would normally spend my money on. If you're not familiar with the World Series, it goes on for a couple months. It's out in Vegas. The main event is that's usually the only thing anybody's ever heard of. It's event 70. There's the mini main event there. It is 76. Here's the structure sheet. It's televised from day one. So from literally July 3rd all the way through to the end of it on July 17th, it's going to be televised. It'll be televised live. Now I don't know how many players. I would imagine over 100,000 players in this thing. So there's a lot, right? First prize is 10 million. So that's kind of cool. Not really, like, hey, let's go win it all for 10 million. That'd be fun. But It's really just for the experience and see how I do amongst the best and arguably the worst poker players in the world. Because if all your celebrities and athletes and stuff, if they like to play poker, this is the only event they ever enter, right? Because it's a pretty high boundary with $10,000. So the guy that played in it last year for the group said, yeah, you're sitting there with poker pros and celebrities and athletes just everywhere you go. So it's a really good experience. So again, all that kicks off this summer. I am going as of last night. I placed in the final tournament, which made me the winner of the regular season. Couldn't be more excited about this. And again, it's over the 4th of July. So hopefully we'll run it all the way out to the end, but I'll be giving you updates during that time as well. So super excited to be participating in this.
Thank you, everyone, for your questions. Please submit your questions as a comment through social media or directly to our email at vipservices@ankerstarwealth.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe to get daily updates. That's all we have for today's show. I'm Allison Ankerstar, and we'll see you back here Monday.